Talking wrestling and telling it like it is.
I gotta be honest, man. I'm kind of getting over Kevin Owens, over in a bad way.
Interviews.
Sitting alongside the hardcore legend, Mick Foley. Well, once again, I'm joined by WWE superstar Adam Rose. Nick and Alfred are here with WWE superstar, the show-off Dolph Ziggler.
No fanboy bullshit.
This is one of those matches where it just shows how predictable the WWE is.
This is Wrestling Obsession Radio.
Hey, welcome into another edition of Wrestling Obsession Radio. My name's Nick. This is my podcast. Along with me again is Alfred. And Alfred, I know I just said this a couple of days ago, but holy cow, a lot's happened.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
We last did a podcast on Sunday. Today is Wednesday, May 25th. And, man, let's quickly go over Raw, and then we'll get to the big news of the day.
All right.
I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on Raw, but I am generally fairly critical of Monday Night Raw, as everyone...
You don't say.
Yeah, as everyone's pretty much well aware these days. I have to say I thought this Raw was better than most. I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
Dude, I was going to have to beat you down after watching Raw. I just watched it about 10 minutes ago, and I was going to say, if you had a problem with this Raw, you probably should stop watching wrestling.
I mean, look, it wasn't perfect. It had a few things I would have changed, but overall, I can't really ask for much more than what they did, considering what they've been giving us. So I liked the one thing I wish they would have changed. Well, not even I wish they would have changed. One thing I was thinking during the opening segment of Raw, when Seth Rollins came out and he starts cutting this promo about, I don't need the fans. They boo me for no reason. They say I'm beatable, blah, blah, blah. That is the promo I've been saying that Roman Reigns needs to cut for the last year and a half. I mean, that is the promo. Telling the fans to screw you. You boo me for no reason. I want nothing to do with you. I don't need you. I'm the champion. You can all shove it. I mean, that's the promo I've been wanting him to say. But they had Rollins do it, which is fine because I'm a huge Rollins fan. But man, overall, I thought it was a pretty solid Raw. I'm not disappointed with Raw this week.
No, especially coming right off of what was it, the second pay-per-view of the quote-unquote wrestling year. I mean, we got 5 of the 7 participants in the Money in the Bank ladder match. We got our world title set. We got, it looks like we got the feelings down for a AJ versus the Club feud. So, all in all, I mean, we have to get pretty nitpicky to start hating on this Raw.
Yeah, I'm with you. It was, like I said, 7 out of 10. That's a solid C.
Solid C.
It's like I said, it wasn't perfect. Another thing I think is kind of stupid is that, and this is a WWE in general problem, not so much just this Raw, but if you look at the people who are now in the Money in the Bank, all of them lost on the pay-per-view the night before. I think all of them.
Yeah, for
or
the most part.
Anyway.
Well, yeah, Jericho and Ambrose in there, so
yeah, obviously one of them won, but that's another like pet peeve kind of a thing. It's like, I know they say wins and losses don't matter, but they can easily make them kind of matter. But anyway, that's enough about Raw. I think we can both agree it was a pretty good Raw compared to what we've been getting. And if they keep going on this trek with Raw, then we'll be happy. But that brings us to the big news of the day, which is going to be impossible for them to continue on this path of Raw because they're doing a brand split. And you and I have fairly different feelings on this. Previously, when they did a brand split, that's right around the time I stopped watching wrestling, and I did not watch any of the brand split years at all. We talked a little bit today, and you said that you liked it to some degree. I don't know how much, and I'll let you speak to that in a second. I'm kind of nervous about the brand split because I don't have the kind of time to invest in 2 totally different shows that intersect here and there. So I don't know if I'm going to be a fan of this brand split or not. What are your feelings?
Well, I was a little shocked to go online today and see that I was actually kind of in the minority. A lot of people are actually agreeing with you, saying, hey, I know we've been talking about having this brand split. I don't want a brand split. I don't want to watch 5 hours of wrestling a week. And that makes sense. For me, I know, I started really getting into wrestling just as the Attitude Era was kind of fading away. So, I knew who Rock and Austin and Mankind and Undertaker, all those guys were, but I wasn't really following wrestling until the Brandsplit started. So, Monday nights we'd watch Raw on, I think it was like TNN, and then Thursday nights we'd watch SmackDown on UPN. So that was when I really fell in love with wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had friends who'd watch during the Attitude Era, and if I was over at their house, I'd watch it. But during the Brandsplit, that's when it didn't matter. Monday night, I was watching Raw. Thursday night, I was watching SmackDown. And, I always lead with the caveat, if it's done right, it's going to be awesome. But I do have that shredded out in there.
Right. And I admittedly have not, as I just said, seen any of the Brandsplit years. So I don't know if it was good, bad, or indifferent. I just know that now in my life, I don't have time to pay attention to all that. And furthermore, I think it's going to be stupid if they have 2 world champions, 2 tag champions, 2 US champions, 2 intercontinental champions. I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, they won't do 2 US and 2 intercontinental. What they did was they split the US and intercontinental. They'd have a mid-card champ. They had 2 sets of tag champs, and they had a main event champ.
So they literally had a main event title and a mid-card title? I mean, what were they called? Or was it just like there was the Raw champion?
It was the WWE Championship.
Right.
On SmackDown, and then they had the US Championship. And then I think it was the WWE Tag Team Championship. And then on Raw, it was the World Heavyweight Championship, Continental, and it was the World Tag Team Champs.
See, and I think I would like it more if they do this Brandsplit to where they've got whatever other champions they're going to have. I mean, whatever. But it'd be really cool to me if they had one WWE World Heavyweight Champion who floated back and forth from show to show. And I don't know what that would look like if it's just an every other week kind of.
That would be so horrible to execute.
It would. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Like, I don't know how to pull that off, but I think it would almost be a throwback to the territory days, because to me, it's the same company. It just because it's a brand.
Feel that way though. It wouldn't feel that way, especially in your case. If you're saying you're only watching one show, it would feel more like the late Brock Lesnar's champ days, where you'd be like, all right, Brock's not going to be here for another, 2 or 3 weeks. Do I really have to watch Raw?
Well, but I see the thing is, like, I feel like I would follow the champ back and forth more. If the champion is Seth Rollins and he's going to be on Raw for 2 weeks because he's got something going with whoever, and then he's going to go on to SmackDown for a week or two, I feel like I'm going to follow him around. I will still follow one show. It's probably.
How are you going to maintain a feud though?
I don't know. But see, that's the thing. But here's the thing: they did this.
It's going to be impossible.
But they did this for 40 years in the territory system. I mean, this is what they did. They had one champion for the NWA territories that would go from territory to territory, defending his title and wrestling different people, and had feuds that would last over time. And then they had the AWA guy, and then they had all these other brands. But it was a territory system, and now with WWE, I mean, you're talking about 2 different champions, but for the same company. None of them are minor league or major league. It's just the same company. It'd be like we talked a little bit today. It'd be like with baseball, having what is it, AFC and NFC? I'm not a baseball fan.
Baseball is American League and National League.
Oh, football is AFC and NFC, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be like having American League and National League champions and no actual World Series champ.
Well, yeah, okay, I get where you're coming from there, but for the sake of continuity, how is Seth Rollins supposed to maintain a feud on Raw and then also maintain a separate but equal feud? Like, I
don't know.
It'd be so impossible to do.
It would certainly be difficult. There's no getting around that. And maybe it would be impossible. I don't know, but I just feel like one champion of the company is better than 2 champions. Now, I'm not saying you can't have a Raw and a SmackDown champion, and maybe I don't know. I don't know what the story would look like. I don't know if it's even possible, but I just don't like the idea of there not being a champion in the company. There's two champions of equal company. It's not like one's a lesser brand than the other because they're going to be two equal brands in this.
Yeah, I mean, I think the closest thing they'll do is probably during the, quote unquote bragging rights or, Night of Champions or whatever, they'll pit the two against each other in kind of an exhibition match. But pretty much if you have a Raw champion and a SmackDown champion, and then you have a champion above them, well, then neither of the two guys below them are champion.
Well, yeah. It'd be champions of the respective brands. I mean, it's just like the Intercontinental Champion now. I mean, it's a lower title than the world title, but they're still a champion. I don't know. I mean, maybe in my mind they have the champions of each show every quarter at the big pay-per-view wrestle for the new world champion. And maybe this, I don't know. I just feel like they've got to do something.
Yeah, you're forcing stuff together to force it together.
Yeah, I just feel like...
And again, you're not the only one. I mean, I've seen this theory come online. There should only be one set of tag champs that they can float between both shows. They should have one, world champ. It's like, well, if we're going to do this, why would we have a brand split?
I don't know why they're doing a brand split as it is. They say they don't have the roster to fill out 3 hours on Monday. They just released a bunch of people, and they're probably going to be releasing more.
I didn't see anywhere where they. I think the big thing not wanting to fill 3 hours on Monday is, and I think I saw Meltzer report this. USA is actually the big one pushing on that. They want 3 hour split. I believe if it was up to WWE, they'd be back down to 2 hours.
Well, there's a lot of money in that third hour. Vince has said it himself. There's a ton of money in that third hour. Vince said it. Triple H has said it. USA wants it because it's the highest rated show they've got.
Are they saying it because they believe it, or are they saying it because it's corporate PR stuff?
No, I think they're saying it because they believe it.
I mean,
if it was just corporate PR BS, I think they would say, no, our fans demand a third hour, and we've got prime content that we can't put anywhere else. So we stuff as much as we can in 3 hours. But I think they're very honest about, look, there's a lot of money in that third hour, whether we want it or not. It's important to the brand, especially since it's publicly traded. They have to make that money. They can't not make the money. If there's money on the table and they make the decision to leave it, then the people who invest, such as myself with my one share of WWE stock, they'll be really pissed and they'll sell out or sell off their shares. So I think, in a perfect world, it'd be 2 hours. I think everybody knows that, but the money's there. Yeah. You can't turn down the money.
Well, yeah, of course you can't turn down the money, but it's going to cost more to produce that third hour. And also they're going live, which is going to, cost more to produce as well. So, and especially the way they've been drawing out the show, especially in the last month or so, it kind of feels like they're throwing away that third hour.
They're definitely throwing it away. And if you look at the ratings, I don't know what this last week was, but for like 2 or 3 weeks in a row, the third hour was way less than the second hour. And traditionally in wrestling, the last hour has been the highest rated hour. But they've been doing like the main event match, or what should be the main event match, at 10 o'clock. And then they're ending it with some, lame ass, talk segment that they're forcing on us. So it's no surprise that third hour was down. So I've got a question about the brand split, though. Back to the main topic here. So back in the day when they did the dual brands, were there more pay-per-views or the same amount every year?
They were the same amount. They had the typical 12 or
whatever,
maybe 13. But what they would do is they would alternate. So let's say right after Mania, Payback would have been a Raw pay-per-view, Extreme Rules would have been a SmackDown pay-per-view. And then usually the big four are the co-branded pay-per-views. So like SummerSlam would have been half Raw, half SmackDown. Survivor Series, half Raw, half SmackDown. And aside from very rare instances, the brands had almost no interaction with each other, which made it special when you actually did have these interactions at the Royal Rumble. You'd see people backstage at SummerSlam. The Hardys were split up for a while with the brand split. You'd see them backstage like, holy shit, yeah, it's Jeff and Matt. This is awesome. Like, we haven't seen them together on TV in like 2 years. So it made moments like that really special.
Mm-hmm. I could see that. And so what belts were they? What actually were there two big gold belts? Or what, did they have WWE and the big gold belt at the time?
The big gold belt was on Raw. The not the Winged Eagle, but the similar to that, the undisputed belt at the time, that was the big one on SmackDown. And then the Intercontinental one, that was the mid-card title on Raw. US title, that was the mid-card on SmackDown. And then they each had their own tag team belts.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, here's the deal, man. I looked this up online earlier. Right now, WWE's active male roster is at about 50 people.
Mm-hmm.
Raw, not this week, but last week, I checked online, utilized 26 male stars.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, and that's not accounting for, injuries with Neville, Cena, Orton being out, Ryback, whatever he's doing, occasional wrestlers like Brock and Taker. They have the roster. And from what it looks like, they're looking to beef up the roster even more, either within NXT or, free agents. So it looks like WWE is really putting forth an effort to make this work.
Well, they're going to have to, because, one of the complaints that we have now, or at least I have, and I know, we've talked about this quite a bit, and a lot of other people have as well, is, that we see the same matches every single week in some form or another.
Well, that's what you're going to avoid that.
Well, how are you going to
see that anymore? But
how are you going to avoid that if your roster's 50 people? Just assume they're going to split it 30-20, right? 30 people for Raw because it's a longer show, 20 people for SmackDown. How are you going to avoid the same thing over and over again after a couple of weeks if they're only using 26 people in 3 hours? That's your whole roster, essentially, in a 3-hour show. And that's all you've got, unless you bring in other people. But realistically, how many are they going to bring in? 10 more people? They're still not going to use everybody.
I would say with NXT and, outside people, I'd say maybe 5.
Okay, so 5 people. So that brings the roster from 50 down to 35 for Raw.
Mm-hmm.
How are they not going to have the same matches over and over again if they do that now and there's 50 people? They've got 50 people to choose from the men, and they use the same 30 over and over again, but now they're only going to have 30 to 40. And how are we not going to see the same thing over and over again?
I'm not a math guy, but if you take all the possibilities between one-on-one matches, tag team matches, triple threats, 6-man tags, 8-man tag, there's an unlimited number of possibilities.
Yeah, but there's even more possibilities now that they don't do. I'm not saying it's not mathematically possible. I'm saying they don't do it now, and they've got a bigger pool to pull from. So they're creating a problem that they've got. They're making it even worse because they're really limiting what they've got to pull from.
Well, it's not that they're limiting. They're choosing who they're pulling. The people on the lower card, it's not like they're saying, hey, we need to make sure we have our 25 best people. So, even lower mid card, that's the WWE roster. You can go touring with the lower 25 people on that show.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a lot of the same repetitive crap that we get now from the WWE. So in the brand split era, how did the brands come back together? What was the catalyst for them to end the brand split and bring it back in?
They were doing more and more Raw Super shows. I don't know if maybe ratings were hurt or injuries or what, but they would do special events where, maybe Raw Roulette or, special guest, whatever. Maybe it's a holiday. So like, hey, here's a Raw Super show. And then it started to be more and more and more, and then you'd see Raw people back on SmackDown. So they kind of just blurred the lines a little bit.
And then it just eventually went back all to one big WWE, and they phased out the other titles or unified them, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm nervous. I'm nervous that it's going to ruin wrestling for me again.
Really?
Yeah, I just, like we talked about earlier, it's like, now, I've got a job where I work a gazillion hours. I've got a wife and a kid, and it's hard.
We're not the
target.
Main target. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, I get it, but and it's like I get home from work, I play with the kid, give him dinner, help get him into bed. By that time, it's 8:30. I eat dinner, and then it's 9:00 by that point. I take a shower. It's 9:45, and then I'm finally able to relax a little bit. It's amazing I can do it on Monday nights. So I'm afraid that for me, I'm gonna have to be forced to pay attention to two different things, and I'm not gonna be able to do it in the way I would like to.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, if we overly simplify this, you're still gonna see, 30 of the best wrestlers in the world Monday night, 3 hours a night every week, and it's going to be something different every week. You're not losing anything.
Right.
I mean, yeah, maybe they split up the roster, so, you're not going to see Kevin Owens on Monday nights anymore. Or, maybe they bring up the New Day, something like that. But, again, they're not catering toward us. They're catering toward us 10 years ago who, aside from doing homework, pretty much parked in front of the TVs, 5 nights out of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And they're giving them something extra to watch.
No, you're right. I mean, we're not, and also looking at it from another angle is all that merchandise that you've been buying for the Usos and Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and all these other guys, now there's going to be brand specific that they're going to have. If Roman Reigns is a Raw guy, it's gonna have a little Raw logo somewhere on it, and that's gonna make it different. Or if he's a SmackDown guy,
I don't remember them doing that.
Yeah,
and usually with the merch
in 2016 though.
Say what?
In 2016 though, I'm not gonna say I'd be willing to put money on it, but I'd be willing to. I don't know what I'd put on it.
Yeah,
but I feel like
that seems like a reach. But usually from what I remember, when they did tour with both brands, it would kind of be like a mass merch thing because, let's say Cena's on Raw. If you have SmackDown touring and you can make $30 on a John Cena t-shirt, hell yeah, why wouldn't you do that?
Oh yeah, no, you're still going to have your trucks that's going to have everything from everyone. There's no doubt. I just think that they'll, at least with the main guys, it would not surprise me if they have some kind of logo that identifies which brand they're on for now. It's just like John Cena when he's the champ. They make a new shirt that's got the belt on it. Why would they not make a new shirt with the logo on it? Now, he was SmackDown before, right?
Yeah, he started off on SmackDown. He was drafted over to Raw, I believe, in 2006.
And did they have, when they did the draft, was it captains? Did they pick captains for each brand?
No, it was more of a lottery. They kind of modified it a little bit toward the later side of it. Sometimes they'd have like a Raw versus SmackDown match, and whichever side won, then they got to draft from that guy's or that roster. It would be just a random drawing.
I saw
what it looks like right now. July 11th, the week before SmackDown goes live, that's probably going to be the new WWE draft night.
Interesting. Well, that's going to be interesting to watch. I saw a tweet from Tommy Dreamer. It said, I was the last person drafted at the first #Brandsplit. I found out on the website, I think announcers, referees, ladders went before I did. And that's interesting, too, about announcers, is what are they going to do for the announce team? I mean, I imagine Michael Cole is going to stay on Raw. I imagine Morrow is going to stay on SmackDown, and they're both going to be the lead play-by-play.
Yeah.
What happens to the rest of the team?
I would guess JBL and Byron stay on Raw. King stays on SmackDown, and they move up Corey Graves.
I could see that. I think that'd be a smart move on their part.
Yeah, because you have the balance of, the grizzled veteran, the kind of younger, more hip guy in the case of Byron, and then of course you have the play-by-play guy. But yeah, to WWE's credit, I mean, they would make it interesting. I believe the inaugural draft had Vince McMahon in charge of one show and Ric Flair in charge of the other one, and they would make draft picks. So that may be how it happened, but I know later on, once the rosters were set and they would kind of juggle everything around right after Mania, that's when you would get the kind of lottery pull.
Interesting. Well, I'm very, very interested in seeing what they do with some of the storylines that they've just now started to build on, because undoubtedly they're going to get mixed up. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do, and I don't know what it's going to do. I mean, I'm going to try, but if I can't watch both shows and stay with it, I don't know what it's going to do for the podcast. I may have to pick a brand to go with. Maybe it'll be maybe I'll take Raw or SmackDown, and you can take the other one, and we'll just do our own. we'll promote each other and all that crap. Who knows?
There you go.
We'll have to figure something out, I guess.
Well, I mean, I know for me, Monday night's usually the one night of the week I try to set aside to watch wrestling. There have been times where I've kind of wanted to watch SmackDown in the past, especially like, oh, cool, yeah, this will be a cage match or a first time ever match. And later on in the week, man, it just gets so hard. And so I'm going to try and watch both, even if it's kind of more passively watching. But, it's the kind of thing where, everyone's freaking out just because it's something different. And I hate, pushing a line and being that guy, but how about we give them a chance to fail?
Yeah, and for me, I'm one of the people who's kind of freaking out, not because of something different. It's just as much as it's just so much. It's so much. It takes something that I did for 3 hours and it stretches it into 5 across 2 days. It's just going to be really tough. And I feel like wherever Roman Reigns ends up is the one I'm going to not watch, probably.
Wow.
Because I freaking hate that guy. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think, I guess time will tell if it's going to be a success or a failure. At least.
Yeah, as it looks right now, I haven't seen anything on co-branding paper or like individually branded pay-per-views. I would imagine pay-per-views would contain both Raw matches and SmackDown matches. I believe that there will be a main event belt on SmackDown from what I'm seeing.
Interesting. Well, all that's going to be fleshed out here in the next couple of days, probably, and I'm really curious to see if they address it. Well, I guess they won't address it on SmackDown because it would have broke last night rather than this morning.
And here's the deal, man. I mean, as it is right now, SmackDown is pretty much unwatchable.
They
announced
useless.
2 matches for SmackDown, and one was a rematch of Monday Night, and the other one was a rematch of Extreme Rules. So at the very least, we're going to get 2 hours of original programming a week. Whether we watch it or not, it's there.
Yep.
Also,
real quick,
splitting up the rosters. Say what?
Real quick, we got about 40 seconds.
All right. Also, we're splitting up the rosters. You're taking about a month off touring for everyone on the roster. It's going to lead to less injuries. I think it's going to be great.
Hopefully so, and it might be the final nail in the coffin for TNA because it's it's going to be up against them.
That's true.
So, all right, everyone. Well, thanks for listening to this episode. If you like the show, make sure you share it on Twitter. Follow us on follow us on Twitter at WrestleObsessed. Subscribe on iTunes and tell your friends about the show and leave us a rating on iTunes if you can as well. That'd be very kind of you. And remember, Brett screwed Brett.